peer-to-peer sharing. What I'm going to discuss throughout this presentation are three main points: how peer-to-peer sharing began, the legal issues regarding peer-to-peer sharing, and some tools that help prevent the misuse of peer-to-peer clients. So how did it all start? It started with Napster, one of the first peer-to-peer clients that could only transfer music files. After being shut down in 2001 due to copyright infringements, Kazaa and Gnutella were created, providing the world with the first client to be able to share all types of media. In addition to these clients, BitTorrent was created, which drastically improved download speeds for peer-to-peer sharing. For more information on how peer-to-peer sharing got started, follow this link. On this link, you will find a basic overview of peer-to-peer sharing, the history of peer-to-peer sharing, the economic impacts that it's had, and the public perception of it, how the public views it, the upsides and the downsides. You can also view the risks associated with it. Copyright infringement is a serious problem with peer-to-peer sharing. In 2005, another peer-to-peer client was forced to shut down due to copyright infringements. If you were to click on the link for its website, you will see how serious the government takes this matter. As you can see here, this website, Grokster.com, was shut down due to copyright infringements. As it says here, the United States Supreme Court unanimously confirmed that using the service to trade copyrighted material is illegal. Copying copyrighted motion picture and music files using unauthorized peer-to-peer services is illegal and is prosecuted by copyright owners. And as you can see here, it takes down your IP address and logs it in their database for future references. According to a CBS News poll, nearly 70% of 18 to 29-year-olds thought file sharing was acceptable. As you can see, this is a problem because it in fact is not acceptable. People are believing that copyright infringement is okay because so many people do it. For more information about copyright infringement, go to this link where it discusses the many legal issues facing copyright infringement. As you can see here, this website goes into full detail explaining what copyright infringement is, what actions fall under copyright infringement, and the legal consequences associated with copyright infringement. Should we worry about peer-to-peer sharing? Even though it is being used for legal purposes, there doesn't seem to be a reason to worry. The amount of peer-to-peer sharing is being maintained between 15 and 20% of internet usage, as you can see from the graph. In fact, as you can see, peer-to-peer file sharing has even decreased a little since 2010. As more and more people get caught for copyright infringement, the more people are going to stop using peer-to-peer sharing, or at least not use it as much. One of the major problems regarding peer-to-peer sharing is that it makes the sharing of child pornography that much easier. It is estimated that 21% of child pornography possessors had images depicting sexual violence to children such as bondage, rape, and torture. 28% had images of children younger than 3 years old, and most notably, 16% of investigations of child pornography possession ended with discovery of persons who directly victimize children. Investigators' main goal in child pornography cases is to find the source. They want to trace the videos or pictures back to the person that made them. Simply arresting the people with the images or videos doesn't solve anything. For information on the investigative processes, you can visit this website. This website breaks down the entire investigative process into 8 steps. The first step is to identify the files of interest. These files can be anything from child pornography to copyrighted material. The second step is to find a set of candidates and copy their IP addresses. The third step is to find the candidate with the relevance to the search. Depending on what the investigators are looking for, the amount and type of file comes into play. The fourth step is to verify that the candidate does in fact contain the files. fifth step is to make sure the IP addresses match up. The sixth step is to subpoena their Internet Service Provider, or ISP, to find out who exactly is responsible for the files. The seventh step is to receive a warrant to search the candidate's computer. And finally, the eighth step is to search the candidate's computer, find the evidence, and make an arrest. Aside from the investigative process, this website discusses legal issues and constraints regarding peer-to-peer sharing, along with much other interesting information about the topic. Peer-to-Peer Marshal is a program that was designed to put a stop to illegal peer-to-peer sharing. It works by finding peer-to-peer clients on other computers. After doing this, it analyzes how each client is being used by looking at the logs and configurations of these clients. If Peer-to-Peer Marshal finds anything suspicious, it locates any downloads, servers, or logs produced by the peer-to-peer client. After finding these files, it will continue to generate a report. Investigators will then go through the parts of the investigative process as discussed in the previous slide. For more information on Peer-to-Peer Marshal, go to this webpage. Here you can learn about the various features of Peer-to-Peer Marshal, and you can observe the multiple screenshots taken. For example, here's one of the main page showing Peer-to-Peer Marshal. The next piece of software to discuss is Operation Fairplay. This is very different than Peer-to-Peer Marshal. Unlike Peer-to-Peer Marshal, Operation Fairplay does not find peer-to-peer clients and discover downloads and logs. Instead, it encrypts media files to help prevent them from being illegally shared. The only way to play the files is by using a decryption key. iTunes is an example of how Operation Fairplay works. An iTunes file can only be played with the iTunes player because the player uses the decryption key. For more information regarding Operation Fairplay, visit this link. Here you can see how Operation Fairplay works, the restrictions that are involved, and all the other companies that are taking advantage of this encryption software. Is peer-to-peer file sharing really worth it? The answer to this question is both yes and no. It is worth it because it makes file transfers much easier. It is very sophisticated technology that has the ability to make people's lives a lot easier. Also, for a majority of the people who use peer-to-peer clients to download illegal files, it is worth it because they don't have to pay. This type of software is not worth it for that same reason. Many industries, such as music and movie industries, lose a lot of money because less and less people buy their products. Also, it is not worth it because it makes the transfer of child pornography over the internet that much easier. Peer-to-peer file sharing is a very controversial issue. Just to recap on everything that was discussed in this presentation, peer-to-peer file sharing emerged from the failure of Napster. After Napster was shut down for copyright infringement issues, both Kazaa and Gnutella were created to improve on what Napster once was. In addition to that, I discussed how a majority of peer-to-peer client users choose to use it to share copyrighted material and sometimes child pornography. I also mentioned two pieces of software that help prevent such things from happening: Peer-to-Peer Marshal and Operation Fairplay. For further information, you could visit my website. On my website, I go over the fundamentals of peer-to-peer sharing. I discuss the complete background of peer-to-peer sharing and how it got started. In addition to that, I go over the traditional client-server downloading process, the peer-to-peer downloading process, and the BitTorrent downloading process. Also, I discuss the economic impacts that peer-to-peer sharing has had on the music industry and the video industry. I also discuss a product called PeerBlock, which helps prevent the detection of peer-to-peer software. Also, I discuss Peer-to-Peer Marshal in depth, along with Operation Fairplay, and various other pieces of software that help detect peer-to-peer sharing.